Hey everyone, this is Natalie in room 13, and today we have guest
Braxton.
Kim.
And today we are talking about biracial dating. So, how do you guys feel about, biracial dating or marriage?
Ooh.
Let's start with Braxton.
Well, first off, love who you love, because, I really can't judge someone else off of who they're dating because it's not my business and I'm not living their life. But at the same time, I understand that a lot of, for instance, a lot of white people love to date black women or men just because there's a long history of deep-rooted fetishes with being with black women, especially like when Africans were, when they were enslaved, when they were taken into slavery, and they were forced into slavery, because they didn't want to come over here by choice anyway. But a lot of times the slave owners would like have a fetish for the women on the plantation just because they look better than their wives, and they had what their wives didn't, i.e. bigger butts, a bigger chest, and just look better than their wives. I mean, black women are just a blueprint for how a lot of non-colored women live. So, I feel like it's a deep-rooted fetish that just grew through multiple generations, and now it's hard to address that issue because it's watered down and people don't believe that. When I feel like it really is. Like, people just want to date black women or men just because it's a trend, but no one really wants to
Be black.
Right. No one wants to be black when it's time to be black. Like, you can't turn the switch to be black on and off.
Most definitely. I agree with that because especially now in today's society, everybody want to be black, but nobody wants to be black. I don't know if you guys seen that interview. Dang, I wish I knew who the woman was. When she, asked everybody in the room, everybody was, I think, white.
Oh, yeah,
yes, I know who exactly.
Yeah.
She was like, raise your hand if you want to be black. And nobody raised their hand.
Nobody raised their hand.
She was like, that means y'all know what's going on to them is messed up. Y'all know it's wrong.
Yeah.
Y'all see it. Y'all can't say y'all don't know it. Y'all not blind to it. Y'all know what's happening. And y'all are choosing to sit and be quiet.
Right, because, they know they have white privilege, because white privilege is a thing. We're not going to sit here and act like it's not a thing. And I feel like right now, especially in today's era, especially the black man, the dark-skinned black man at that, is admired. He is loved. Like, so many people want a dark-skinned black man or just a black man in general. But don't nobody want to be the black man. The black man's getting killed. The black man is being, it's like just suppressed,
lynched.
But nobody wants to be a black man. But everybody wants the black, especially the white women. Oh, let's not get on the Kardashians. They all got black men because they want the mixed baby. It's a fetish. They want the mixed babies.
Right. They're Romanian though. I'm talking about like purely
white. Well,
like
Kylie Jenner is pure white.
Yeah.
Caucasian Mountains. Caucasus Mountains.
Yeah, those who derive from the Caucasus Mountains, which is a real place, but that's another conversation. That's the actual.
No, I'm not in disagreement with you, but my I don't necessarily agree with the idea of a fetish, but I do think that whatever relationship between a white couple or a white person and a black person, it's a lot to come with that. It's like a meet between different worlds. And I don't think the reason why I say I don't think it's a fetish is because it's like, you got to think about it, like what she was just saying. They know that black people get treated horribly. Just like you have people who like to hang out with black people, they get called nigger lovers. So they don't get the same treatment as black
That's
people
true.
to that extent, but they do get the repercussions for engaging in like romance with them. And like me personally, I really stand on like, you can't choose who you fall in love with, if that makes sense. Like, love sometimes kind of hits you, but if you're looking at the sense of I'm just dating a black person because I want to say that I've dated somebody black and then they're just not my type, it's like, interracial dating is a very tricky thing because in America, race runs deep. It's like, I really believe it stems from envy and jealousy and hate.
Most definitely.
Like it runs deep. So when you look at like biracial dating outside of America, it's not as taboo. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you go to places like Germany,
especially Germany.
some parts of France, it's a little racist, but some places in France it's not, and it's like they love black people. They love, so it's like in America, that's where the interracial dating becomes really complex.
Well, you got to think, because only in America you have African American, Hispanic American, Asian American. You go to Asia, they just Asian.
Right.
They don't have no African Asian. Like they don't have that. But in America, they put labels on everybody. Oh, I'm Mexican American. Why we can't just be American?
Well, no one's truly American though. If you say it like that,
because
even only people who are really American and not even American is the Native people.
Native American, Native Indians.
Yeah, the Native people.
Because they were here first.
They were literally here first and were wiped out.
Most
like
of.
we not saying like we skip over, but the gravity of wiping out an entire
it was
culture
sick.
and race.
It was sick.
That is. It's not even on the lines of demonic, but it is demonic.
No, that's
like,
not what it is.
It's worse than demonic. It's like,
and
I think
then
it's
taking the
that.
children and forcing them into white culture. They don't even really have a culture, but
no, you know what's wild? See that, and this I learned this too, and this all stems to like white relationships, or not white relationships, but like interracial relationships. Because I remember reading about how when they were forcing kids to, like the story of the Pledge of Allegiance, like in elementary school, you say the Pledge of Allegiance, like I pledge allegiance to God. But see, that's the thing though. Like, I was reading that. Actually, I was watching it. It was a documentary, and they were going through like a lot of things like in America that's like weird, like the Pledge of Allegiance, like when they put Native American children into schools with white children. They were telling them like, all right, say the Pledge of Allegiance, and if you didn't, you would get in trouble. You're basically like saying like, regardless of what I believe in, I'm going to pledge my allegiance to America, and I believe in the Christianity and what they're teaching me in school. I'm like, well, so you're forcing a child who doesn't really understand what's going on or doesn't really know the situation as well as you do just because they're young.
Because you got to think, when they made the flag such a big deal, I think it was during World War II. Was it World War II or World War I? When the American flag was really like just America making.
It was World War II.
World War II.
I believe it was. That's when. I mean, it was always a thing, but I think it got to like
it really
more of a
prominent.
situation. Yeah,
like the flag became a really big deal. You start seeing the flag everywhere. That's when the Pledge of Allegiance really came.
World War II.
People start taking offense when you burn the flag, stuff like that.
It's actually a law. If you burn the flag, you can go to jail.
Like it became a real
because
thing.
Americans started to take extreme pride in being American.
Being American.
Like, and if you look at this is the most ironic thing, when you go outside of America, no other country likes America at all.
Because they're stuck up. Americans are stuck up.
Americans are like,
and we're not the
and they don't even,
some of us aren't the
and they don't
people.
even take like American people seriously.
Because you know why? And Americans are stuck up. Because you know why? Americans go to other countries. Like, we literally go and tour other people, homes, and we expect them to speak English. This is their home. When we talk about something, do y'all speak English? No, do you speak my language? Just like how when people come to America, we ask them first thing, do you speak English? You came to America, so you should be speaking English. But we go somewhere else, and we automatically want them to speak English and, have adopted the American culture. And a lot of countries have adopted the American culture, They're bilingual. They speak their language and English.
But you want to keep it as like they didn't really have a choice.
They didn't.
If you think about it, if you look at the American military, right? The American military is based and stationed in almost every country in the continent. Like, our military, if you think about it, is what has sustained America in its freedom. Like, you have, there's a base in Okinawa. We haven't been in Okinawa, Japan, and had, real issues in a while, but we're still stationed. We have,
because America wants full dominance.
It's like dominant. It's like having control.
When, this, really started when it was the race with communism. Was that what it was?
Communism.
Yeah, and trying to stop the spread and make sure everybody adopted, the American culture and make sure communism doesn't spread. So that's part of the reason with that, I feel like.
I think it's more. Excuse me. I think it's more with like you. It's like politics versus religion. You see that a lot of times here in America. It's not as prevalent here because people have freedom of speech. But if you go outside the country, it's really who you with religious wise. You have gangsters that are religious based. Like they run how they operate their regime by religion. Like a woman, she's considered worthless in certain countries. If she doesn't have a virginity, they would literally kill her because they feel like in their mind they're doing her a favor, not doing her an honor. Because some countries you go to, they don't even respect women, like at all as of boys. So it's really like a religious like faith versus politics. But I don't want to really say faith because faith is a whole. I look at faith as a separate organism from religion. Because religion is something like traditionally that you practice, and you have to have faith and you have to want to do it. Religion has these rules that make you want to be like you have to do it, like you have to follow it, like it's a must. But relationship or faith is a whole different thing. You have to want to have those things, and that's something that someone can't beat into you or shame you into and make you stay.
That comes from a long line of ooh. I remember
and that comes around to like racial dating, racial dating,
forcing things down to you. Like back then, slaves were forced into Christianity, and then at that point, it was just like a long line of like, well, this is the one religion that we have to follow. It's not like faith based. It's religion. There's rules that you have to follow.
They were forcing to be fake ideas of religion because if you go back like even to the black church, they took out most of Acts. Damn near all of Genesis.
Books. They took out books.
They took out some of the main books
and like people
of the Bible and forced black people into Christianity. And that if you want to like, as that correlates to race, it's like for me, right? I look at certain racial relationships as like, what is this like? What is this like? Like, do you understand the gravity of what you're doing right now? That's like combining Venus and Mars, like two different worlds. And then you're going to create a product that's going to like kind of struggle with how to be on
I was just about to get into that. So how do you think biracial dating affect biracial kids? Because, you have someone, they might, a black man, a white woman, or a white woman and a black man, and boom, they make a child. Now they have a biracial child. What do you feel about that? Drake child. He's a biracial child, but I'm not gonna say he doesn't have black features because them lips are most definitely black.
His father is definitely like that's the thing. Like I feel like,
but he can pass if it wasn't for the.
But being a biracial child is complex.
But it's very complex because you have some who will look at him and say,
he's not black.
Baby, you're not black.
Yeah, he's not black.
You can't say the N-word. You are not black. I wish you would.
And you got some people that like, you're not white.
You're not white.
So the child goes through an identity crisis. If the parent doesn't explain, like I know for me, I went through a huge identity crisis. Like I was too black for the Hispanics and I was too Hispanic for the blacks. Like it was no in between. Like, oh, I speak Spanish, but I look black, and what is that? Like, I get that a lot. And I know for, like, other biracial kids, it's really hard trying to find who you are. Like, you have no choice but to find your purpose in life.
I feel that. There's a lot of times, too, like, I feel like it's harder for the parents, like, if you have a child, an interracial child, a mixed child who is either black, I feel like I can say it's mostly dealing with black and white because I can relate to that in some sort because I've seen it. I haven't seen it too many with other races as far as like someone being like Hispanic or black. Because a lot of times, like in my school, in high school, people like, we cared. It was just really only if you were white. It was a lot of problems with that because a lot of people were like, a lot of the children were racist. Like I remember my sophomore year here in college, I was sent a video of a race fight happening on my school, in my high school. It was literally white people versus black people.
Wow.
And I was very like, it was disappointing because it was just like, I mean, we already knew it was kind of racist some of the white kids were racist just because, like, their parents are ignorant. Like, that's what I hate ignorant people, regardless if you're black or white, or you can be orange, green, or whatever you are. Like, I hate ignorant people. People who aren't willing to learn and then change the ways of the multiple wrongdoings that came before them. So that way, down the line in the generation, it's less people who are effing up and there's more people who are understanding. That's where a lot of times where racism is like, I feel like shouldn't be hard to understand with some people. Like, okay, listen, your grandfather was a part of the KKK and he hated black people. You know that because you were there and you've seen it. You may not have understood it as a kid, because as kids we don't really know what we're seeing. We just see things and imitate it because we think that's what we're supposed to do. So I feel like at that point, as you get older, you should be able to identify, like, this was wrong.
Right.
This was terrible.
But like that, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here, but you gotta also think about people's principles and morality, like their moral compass. Some people genuinely think in their heart of hearts that they're doing the Lord's work, being racist.
Yeah.
Because people interpret things in their own way, and it's perspective. Now, we would hope, like, as people of color, to see that these Caucasian individuals come to the sense that, you know, this is messed up what you're doing to other people. But we don't see their perspective. In their mind, they probably feel, and they probably are thinking that what they're doing is right. And I'm not in no way advocating for the white male or white supremacy, but I do want to put out there that I think it's a basis of perspective and where your heart posture is.
You know what? And I agree, because I had a Black Lives Matter course last night, and we were talking about this, you know, regarding white supremacy and black people who are who they're not white supremacists, you know, but like, you know,
like Black Power, and they're
no, not Black Power, but, you know, black people who you would consider Uncle Toms,
Coons,
you know, or you guys ever heard of Candace Owens?
Yes.
And you know some of the remarks that she would make, and it's like we went into the basis of, do we really believe that someone like her actually, or someone who agrees with, you know, some people who are clearly white supremacists, do they really, like, truly believe what they're saying is, you know, right? And I said yes. Like, I really believe that the things that they do, the things that they say, that they really believe that what they're doing is right. Like, in their heart and in their soul, they stand on what they believe. And, you know, you can't knock them for that. I mean, it's ignorant, yes, but you can't. That's their belief. Like an atheist would think that, you know, I'm kind of dumb for believing in my God, but you can't tell me that my God ain't real. That's what I believe. So, you know,
I've heard of Candace Owens, and I think when you look at Candace Owens, what I get from her is her main principalities are, I want what's right, like, regardless. And even when you look at Trump, right? Trump was a bigoted, racist, like, he was out there. But he wasn't with the shenanigans when it came to, like, you have people who just want to hope, like, when you take out the race from it. Because when you take away the race, and say if we were all orange people, you look at the way the way the capitalist society is set up, and the way that capitalists and people like globalists and people who have their own agendas have used racism as a cover to do some of the grimiest and most atrocious things to people who don't have much. Take away the race, take away gender, you're taking advantage of people who don't have much. And you got people like George Soros, who's a wanted war criminal in so many countries, sponsoring Black Lives Matter as part of his agenda to incite more conflict and violence. He doesn't care. If you look into George Soros' background, he doesn't care about racial issues at all. He just wants to be able to get his agenda done, and he knows that if he's covering that up with supporting Black Lives Matter, he knows he doesn't have to worry about the people of color community coming after him. That's another layer to take off in his agenda. Same with what Joe Biden kind of did with his presidential election.
Yep.
He
pleaded
to the black crowd because he knew that black boys, as much as we are being suppressed, we are the voice and the trend that we set it. People follow, and he understands that. He understands the platform that black people have.
And Kamala Harris.
All of them don't really care.
Yeah,
They don't care for actual black lives as like they claim that they do. Because you have a lieutenant who gets pepper sprayed and literally harassed on camera by a white officer, and there's nothing being said about that. And I'm sorry for the young man that just passed away, Dwight Wright. Mm-hmm. He instead of looking into the case himself or actually doing their due diligence to like get to the sole reason, which we all know the sole reason is, you say peace and calmness, and it's like constantly, it's like
communism now.
Yeah, it's like you're pacifying the issue, and eventually people are gonna get tired of it. And I think people are already at that point where they're worried about their rent, they're worried about their kids, they're worried about this, they're worried about that, and now we're in a whole pandemic, and people are worried about more stuff, and then add on being black, add on being a woman. Like it's getting too much for people to even handle. So it's like, you know, when you look at interracial marriage, it's like people, I feel like sometimes negate the gravity of what they're doing.
Right.
They negate the fact that this is not like what you think it is. Right. It's not, I mean, love is love, yes, but it's a lot it's a lot being black. Like, it's a privilege to be black. It's a privilege and an honor to be black, and it's not for the weak. Mm-hmm. It's not for the weak to be a person of color. Because if anyone of white had to be a person of color or a brown skinned person,
they wouldn't survive.
They wouldn't survive. It's a different world that we live in. And now you look at when you look at racial interracial dating, you're combining that world, and you're doing it like voluntarily. And I feel like it's like trying to drive a car or trying to put something together without reading the manual and understanding the manual. That's like if you want to look at religion and relationship with Christ. The reason why Christ is always and will be able to defeat the enemy is because he understands what he is not. Like, the enemy is the opposite of Christ. So he's easily able to win those battles because he knows who he is not. And when you understand who you're not, like you understand who you are and then you understand the opposite of you, it's easier. I'm not saying easier, but it's more obtainable in your end all goal. And like, I just think that with the Candace Owens, her goal, I think she's gotten past the fact of being a black person or a black woman. And it's hard to say that. Like, how are you getting past being a black woman? Like, that's something you wear every day. Like you were just saying, you can't take that off. But Candace Owens is more striving for, yes, we're going to always be black. I'm going to be a black woman and I have all this stuff going on for me. But I'm talking about, I want to be able to support my kids, you know? I want to, not 40 acres and a mule, but I want my house. Like, I want to be able to afford a house. I don't want to be in debt to my neck because I decided to get a further education. I don't want my interest rate to be 20% for a college student loan, but to get a business loan or to get interest on a loan or a money marketing account, like, those interest rates are so low. Like, let's put the race aside. Let's talk about how we're being scammed. Because if you look at I'm trying to think of the name of the president that had got shot, JFK. He was talking about getting rid of the American debt. And if you think about MLK, he was already on his racial, he was on his racial, like, he was already promoting how racial discrepancies is a problem. But once he started talking about financial freedom and, like, how that, like, capitalism,
mentally keeping them enslaved.
That's really what caused him to
get
assassinated. And then we look at Malcolm X. He was gonna take America in front of the United Kingdoms. He was developing a case against America for the injustice of 400 years of slavery towards African American people, and then all of a sudden, an African American killed him. I think when you look at the situation of race, it runs way deeper than we think. Mm-hmm. It's a leaf to a bigger tree.
Most definitely. I
feel like what you just said, that's how, like, with the Nipsey Hussle situation, how it was one of his, like, former friends, like one of his former mans who shot him. But I feel like in order for us to get out of that mindset of, like, keeping each other down, we have to stop thinking like everything is a monetary value, because that's really is what's pinning us against each other. Is because, like, with the Black Panther Party, bro, they set that man up.
Yeah, a lot of it was set up. A lot of it was government people.
It was set up. It was
inside.
Yeah.
Did you see the movie Messiah and the Judas?
Oh, Judas and the Black Messiah?
Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh my gosh. I haven't seen it yet. I'm trying. Oh, I need to get HBO.
It's just, I have HBO. I should watch it. Yeah,
I need to watch it.
It's just like a lot of things were an inside job. Like,
yeah.
When Malcolm X passed away, that was an inside job.
It was an inside job, but like, who was the influencer to do that?
But I'm like, I just learned. No. I just learned about this though in my BLM class. We just moved off of the Black Power movement, literally. Like, that was just our last test, and Dr. Teague, she was talking about how people were literally planted, like government officials were planted, and they were like, you have like your regular main people, and then you have somebody new coming in, and you get tight because y'all clicking, they're doing everything they're supposed to do on top of it, so you let them in,
playing a role.
And now they getting in your ear like your main man is the one, doing this, that, and the third, and now you killing someone who was really, down and there for the cause, and you brought in the government, the government agent. And that's how, boom, you dismantle the whole operation.
And you dismantle the Black home.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I was just having this conversation with Amir. The reason why a lot of the issues with Black women and the Black children is the Black home has been dismantled.
Most definitely. Because,
the Black man in jail.
And I think that, though I think being an independent woman is a necessity, but I feel like the Black man is very important, especially in the child's life.
It's very important in the woman's life as well, because it was never meant like it's never been meant for not that the Black woman can't be independent, she can't hold her own, but she was forced to hold her own, if that makes sense. When the Black man went to jail, she was forced to support her kids. And if you know anything about the Black woman, she's not gonna let her kids down.
Mm-hmm.
She will lay her life multiple times for her children.
For most Black women.
I'm just saying, she had to step up and be that person, and she got so used to being in that independent role, in that leadership role, that now you lose that attribute of a woman.
I don't need a man.
Of being submissive to your husband. And people look at submissive in a negative light. It's nothing wrong with being submissive when it's equal respect.
Not even that, because I feel like, the man is supposed to lead. He's an alpha male for a reason, and there is nothing wrong, because if a man leads the correct way, naturally a woman will follow. Naturally, it's natural. I don't know, but it's just like not even let's take it out of relationship. When you have someone who's leading in a group in anything, a natural leader who's on it, no matter if it's a woman or a girl, you're gonna want to follow that person, because what they're teaching, what they're preaching, and their moral, how they're leading, you're gonna want to follow that. So I think that the Black man is very important in the Black home, and taking him out of that, and then now you have.
And when you look at I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But when you look, that's really important. The point that you just made, the Black man is a very key player in this thing we call life.
That's why we arrested so much.
When you look at like race, when you look like interracial dating, what we were initially saying, the Black man is a unique being and a unique like creature on this earth. There's nothing like the Black man at all. I don't care wherever you go, there's nothing like the Black man, because he naturally, he's just naturally
taking charge of the
taking
room.
charge, like an alpha male.
Very intimidating.
And he's
a black man walks in a room full of white men.
He's intimidating.
I promise you, they will be intimidated.
They're intimidated.
They're intimidated
Because they know we have to work harder because of what they put against us. And what's wild is, like, well, as we're talking, like, I'm realizing, like, how we're talking